How's it going? My name is Jason Bull from Wild Air. It's just about over a month to go now until the CAP SANI2C, and if you're planning to ride it this year, hopefully you've been getting in some good miles in preparation. Now, as you spend more time on your bike preparing for the race, you're obviously going to get to feel more comfortable with the bike and get a feel for what is good and what isn't. With long days in the saddle up ahead, it's only going to be of benefit to you to take the 10 minutes or so that it will take for you to set up your bike properly. Even if you've been riding the same bike for years and by now you're essentially one unit, there may still be a few helpful things that you can pick up here. Of course, share this with your friends so that they can benefit from it as well. Let's get into it. So the key points that we'll cover in this video is your cockpit, your saddle, your tire pressure, and your suspension. If any of these things sound intimidating and too complex for you, rest assured we're going to try and make them as simple as possible for you to understand and implement. We have already done in-depth videos on how to correctly set up your cockpit, your saddle, and your suspension, and you can find links to those in the blog or description below. As for now, I'll give a quick overview on each of those points. At the cockpit, making adjustments to your handlebar and stem can really help you to feel more comfortable on the bike and gain better control, as well as adjust your natural body position on the bike. As for the grips, we certainly recommend that you find a pair that is suitable for you. Having something that's comfortable and fits your hand is going to be ideal for long days in the saddle and for those long descents. When it comes to the saddle of your bike, this is a no-brainer that you want to get right. Your saddle need not be uncomfortable to sit on. If this is the case, definitely head to your local bike shop and see what they offer in terms of advice or professional fitting to find a saddle that is just right for your body. Setting your saddle at the correct height is obviously also important. This allows you to pedal efficiently and reduce the chance of injuries on the bike. If you're struggling to get this dialed, certainly best to seek out professional help, but we have got a few helpful tips for you there in the video that's linked below. Setting up your suspension can often be intimidating and as a result overlooked. It must be said though that a proper suspension setup is so important. It allows your bike to pedal efficiently and as well as absorb the terrain that you're riding over. We did our best in our suspension setup video linked below to make it as easy as possible for you to understand and implement. You should only need a shock pump and possibly a tape measure depending on your bike. It'll take about 10 minutes, and once that's all sorted, your bike should be rolling smoothly and efficiently over all the terrain. If you haven't set up your suspension before, you might not even know what you're missing out on, so it's definitely worth a look. Finally, let's have a look at tire pressures and tire choice. A fresh set of tubeless tires, if your rims are compatible, will definitely be a worthwhile investment for your riding. When it comes to a marathon such as SANI2C, you'll obviously want faster rolling tires on your bike, which should be easy enough to find. We would say don't shy away from a slightly more aggressive tread pattern on the front tire, as the added traction you get from that might result in great confidence and a much more fun ride. We would recommend a 2.25 to 2.3 inch tire. This should allow you to run low enough pressures to keep the bike rolling smoothly over the terrain and also give you decent traction. When considering tire pressures, you want those to be low enough to allow the tires to conform to the terrain and not bounce off every obstacle, but also high enough to give the support that you need for your weight and to prevent punctures from pinch flats. At 70 to 80 kilograms, you should probably run around 22 or 23 psi in your tires, front and rear. That's about 1.5 bar if you use those measurements. If you're heavier or you ride quite hard, you might need to go up in pressures for a bit more support. And then if you're a bit lighter than that, you can get away with slightly lower pressures. Do your best to check your tire pressures before each ride. Consistency here is key to having a familiar feel and consistent performance from your tires. A small pressure gauge can be a helpful tool to keep track of these. You certainly want to make sure your bike setup is just right before you dive into your stage race adventure. Take the time now while you have it to make these adjustments and figure out what works best for you on the bike. Drop any questions you might have in the comments and enjoy the ride of your life. Cheers!